Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check. Two, two. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back for the pouring ceremony here at the Verdon Bell Company in Cincinnati, Ohio. I want to welcome all of our guests. We have a little bit of a crowd here today to watch this. And I also want to start off by saying we have a few minutes to do a little bit of work prepping the bell for prepping the cast for the pouring. So we're going to use that time to thank some people and also talk a little bit about how this bell came about. My name is Alan Dix. I am the chairman of the Minnesota chapter of the Wells Fargo Team Member Network for Veterans. That's what that logo is there. And Wells Fargo across the country has team member networks for a lot of different organizations. The military one in Minnesota is 600 plus members strong and does a lot of coordinating and volunteer work with veteran service organizations. Places like the VFW, places like the organization that we're actually donating the bell to when it's complete and brought back up to Minnesota. One of the things that we want to highlight too is that the Patriot Guard is here again. They are going to be escorting the bell from Ohio up to Minnesota, where it will arrive at its ownerships at the place where it's going to be loaned out to other veteran service organizations. And also want to thank John Lobald from MACV. MACV is the organization that is the reason this bell is being cast. We're going to bring it back up to them. And Wells Fargo and MACV have had a really close relationship. We've done lots of work with them. And when I heard that the bell was going to end up being part of that relationship and that MACV was going to kind of own it and loan it out, I thought that was the perfect arrangement for what we've been working for, trying to get this bell done and get it up into Minnesota. So I'll let John talk a little bit about what MACV is doing and what the bell is going to be and how important it is to all of us. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Alan. Hi, I'm John Lobald, MACV employee. I just want to start off by saying thank you, number one, to Wells Fargo, Jeff, Alan, and John and that team for the vision that they had to work with the Verdon Company and create this bell. This is something that MACV would never be able to do on our own. MACV, Minnesota Assistance Council for Veterans, is an organization that's been around since 1990, and we've been helping homeless veterans for almost 30 years. And we have a system where we're helping veterans in 3 different ways. We have housing, we help them with employment, and we also help them with legal services. And like I said, we've been doing that for 30 years. And the only way that we're able to help those veterans, as such a small organization as we are, is with having such strong partnerships with large organizations like Wells Fargo, Verdon Company, people who have vision and talent to put something like this together. Now, why is MACV going to get the bell? I'll tell you, I think it's because we've really developed a reputation inside of the state of Minnesota for being the go-to organization when you want to help veterans. And this bell being very specific to being for the entire state, we're a statewide organization. We're going to be the keepers of the bell, but we're sharing it with all the other organizations that we partner with. And it wouldn't be, again, that our success is all based on those partnerships. So I thank Wells Fargo for seeing MACV as the leaders in this space, for being able to do this. We're really excited about being able to use the bell at a lot of the different events we have. Nationwide, there are events called Stand Down, and at those Stand Down events, veterans come to receive services. They'll get assistance, again, for employment. They might have medical assistance. They'll get housing assistance. All different types of areas through all the different counties throughout the state will be represented at those events. And this bell, we will be able to bring to all these events that we host statewide throughout the entire regions of Minnesota. We'll bring this bell to these events, and as those veterans are coming in and registering, we expect that they're going to be able to go ahead and ring that bell on behalf of their own service, and any of the other volunteers and members who are there to be able to ring the bell for the loved ones that they are thinking of, and for the reasons why they're there volunteering. So Stand Down is one of the first, foremost marquee events where we'll be bringing this event to help our cause and to help our veterans feel appreciated for their service. But we will also be sharing this bell with all the other different organizations, the Legions and the VFWs, the DAV very specifically, who was here earlier today and placed some coins inside of the bell as well. We're going to keep the bell headquartered inside of Minneapolis, but organizations will be able to come and check the bell out from us and take it to their locations. You can't see it here today, but the bell has its own trailer. So all an organization is going to have to be able to do is have a vehicle to be able to actually sign out the bell and hook it up to their vehicle and then take it to their event. So we will, this is another way that we're going to actually continue to build even more relationships. There are so many veteran organizations out there and other organizations that want to help veterans that we're already partnering with, but there's more and more that are coming out every day. And this bell is going to be the thing, I'm just going to go ahead and call it, the shiny object that people are going to come, they're going to find their way to us because they want to see that shiny object. Why not? As you see them putting the casting together here behind me, earlier this morning, we recorded a portion of the day where we had a table here, and we had a number of military artifacts that were actually melted down prior to the casting. They're currently inside the Tim, what do I call that? Tim's dad, what do I call that? The furnace. Thank you. Not the bell guy, the veteran guy. All right. So inside the furnace right now, we have a number of different military artifacts, which included shell casings from somebody's 21-gun salute at their funeral service. We had numerous military challenge coins that were placed in there from a number of different Minnesota organizations and a lot of Wells Fargo employees that wanted to have something in there to be commemorated inside this bell. We also had dog tags from military service that dated back as far as World War I and World War I freedom medals as well, placed inside that furnace. And those were all melted down into the actual metal that is going to create the bell for the Minnesota Tribute Bell today. Kevin, would you like to share a story about one of the things that MACV has done and continues to do?
Sure, I'd be honored to. Hi, my name is Kevin Olson, and I work with John as a MACV volunteer. I have a real passion for the topic of homeless veterans. My oldest brother, Greg, served honorably in the Marines in the Vietnam era. And in my family, we have the disease of schizophrenia that affects many of my relatives. And my brother obtained this mental disorder, this disease, and he just disappeared from our family in the late 70s, early 80s. By that I mean he had no contact whatsoever. Unbeknownst to me, he was living as a homeless person, and for 26 years, we had no contact whatsoever with my brother. But through the efforts, great organizations like MACV were able to reunite my brother with a family. Again, we hadn't seen him for 26 years, and we actually are able to find him a permanent housing situation. So this bell that is being cast is something that will raise awareness on the topic of homeless veterans in my state, and I'm very, very proud to be affiliated with all the great work that Wells Fargo has done, as well as MACV and the great folks here at the Verdant Bell Company. So this is quite an important event that will help people just like my brother Greg.
We're getting close here. You guys have seen over your shoulders what they've been doing is starting to assemble the mold. So the mold's pre-made. Our molds are made out of a silica sand and a couple of different resins that we inject in to that sand, and then after a few minutes it gets hard like concrete. So The whole process of making a bell started weeks and weeks and weeks ago, where first you got to start with a design. So we worked with you guys, worked with Wells Fargo, and designing this bell, what we wanted it to look like, and then the people of Minnesota voted on that it would be finished in kind of a royal or a navy blue color, along with, so portions of the bell will be blue, portions of it will be a real almost a mirror polish, and then from there, once we have the bell designed, then we go to actually creating the bell pattern. The pattern is a incredibly time-consuming thing to create. And the thing with a pattern is your bell is going to turn out only as good as what your pattern is. So you have to take a lot of time in building and making sure that pattern is perfect. So essentially what we're doing is we're going to create this bell twice. We're going to create it one time out of aluminum and wax, essentially, and then we're going to create it again in bronze. So once we have the pattern, that's when we can make the molds using that pattern, and then the pattern is destroyed, unfortunately, so it's a one use only. We will see the finished bell tomorrow. We won't see the pattern. The pattern is gone.
Going to be destroyed at that point in
exactly,
time. Right.
Exactly. So and it's the same thing with the mold. So this sand mold, once we dump the bronze in there, it's going to turn into powder.
Sure.
The inside of it. So again, it's a one use only.
Got it.
So it looks like, so they've got the ladle hooked up to the crane. We saw them take them off the furnace. The ladle was upside down basically on the exhaust port of the furnace, which is used to dry the ladle and to preheat the ladle. So the bronze inside the furnace currently is somewhere probably in the neighborhood of 2,100 degrees Fahrenheit. We're only going to pour the metal into the molds at about 1,850 degrees, but we lose a lot of heat during that metal transfer. So heating the ladle slows that
Sure.
heat loss down. So as the guys start to pour the bronze, you can see it kind of looks like a Hawaiian lava flow. Even standing, what are we, 25 or 30 feet away, you can feel that
feel
heat
the
off
heat
the
already.
furnace.
Absolutely. So Tim, I didn't do a very good job of introducing you, but Tim Verdon, 6th generation bell maker.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep, sixth generation.
So as we were sitting here and establishing the fact that I was not an expert in bell making, I did think of a question, which was, how many bells has the Verdon Company made approximately?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. A lot.
A lot? That's a good
lot,
answer.
Yeah. We could go back in the records, I'm sure, and figure that
Yeah.
out. I don't know if it would be an easy task, but I'm sure we could.
Well, today, as you gave us a tour of the facilities and you showed us, we got to see a number of bells that you guys have either previously worked on or are reconditioning, and the sheer number of bells that we get to see, and my now knowledge of bells is certainly increased, but not to the point where I knew what the furnace was.
Yeah. Okay, well,
I missed that one.
Exactly. So you can see up on top, kind of on top of the ladle, there's a digital readout. That is actually a scale. So we want to know, you guys ready? They say they're ready. So you saw Ralph took the temperature of the metal. It must be close. Typically, it doesn't happen that fast. Typically, we take it out of the furnace, and you got to wait a few minutes. But
Is that because it's cooler today?
it's I don't know. I think they probably just got lucky and took it out at exactly the right time. So what Ralph's doing now is any contaminants that was on top or that was in the metal basically float to the surface, and he can basically push those contaminants back. So you can see Owen start to pour,
Wow.
the metal's flowing in. You can see some of that smoke and some of those gases burning off of basically burning out of the mold. So what we're looking for now is everybody's watching basically the flask. We want to make sure that we don't see any metal running out of the flask. That's the bad sign. The other thing we're watching for is that at the back of the mold, you can see that flame that come up
Yep.
out of there. So just before the flame popped out, there was a little bit of metal that kind of jumped up out of there. That's basically a flow off. So when the mold is full, metal is supposed to come out of there. So that
Kind
again
of
is
an
a good
indicator
sign.
they're getting to the top.
So as far as I can tell, I don't see any metal on the floor. That's a good sign. I think we have a successful casting. Thank you guys.
You didn't start running, so that made me feel really good.
Exactly. I told
Thank
you
you.
earlier,
Yes,
if you
yes.
see me running out
Yeah,
the door,
yeah.
follow me.
Absolutely.
So what's going to happen? Again, it's kind of a waiting game now. What we have to do is we have to wait until the morning. This is the hard part. You've got all this work that goes into this thing so far, and now we get to stare at the flask for the next 12 or 16 hours and kind of hope that it's in there. So we will find out what's in there, whether it's good, whether it's bad. We're all going to find out together.
But you've done this, we've established a lot of times.
That's right.
And therefore, this thing is going to come out fantastically.
Perfect. It'll be the best
Yes.
bell we've ever done, I
Absolutely.
think. So come back 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning. We will we'll do a live feed again where we'll open the flask up. We're going to get some sledgehammers out. People are going to beat on the sand a little bit and
Looking
see if we can
forward
get a
to it.
start on it.
Yeah.
And then over the next couple hours, we'll break it out and we'll get the first reveal of what the bell looks like straight out of the mold.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to it, Tim.
Awesome. See you guys in the morning.
See you tomorrow.